Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Infinity Gaming's Outlaw, and I have a great game between two excellent players that I think everyone should take a look at. In the bottom left, we have the red Zerg Moonglade, and his opponent on the far right is Liquid Jinro from, of course, the famous Team Liquid. So both of these guys ran into each other on the ladder and decided to release this replay after the fact. So hopefully we can learn some things about this matchup. It is ZVT or TVZ depending on your perspective. Now, I want to dedicate this game to Clonuk, who requested that I get some of this man's games out there, Jinro right here, because he does play a really unique style, and it's one of his favorite players just because of the fact, and you'll probably see it here if he does play this like he normally does. However, Moonglade is, or at least about a year ago, he was considered one of the best Zergs outside of Korea. And he's won a few tournaments, and he had a pretty big name for himself, but he's been rather quiet recently, so I hope to see a good game between the two of them. Of course, I recently switched myself to Zerg just because I enjoy playing them so much. I want to really get to play them well. It'll be a long, hard struggle, but it took a while for me to learn Protoss, but I think Zerg will be just as much fun, and it might even do me a little bit better than how I would go about playing either Protoss or Terran. And it seems like Moonglade is going to go for a 50 Nash. So he's going to go for a gasless fast expand here. And then very shortly you'll probably see a spawning pool with this next unit coming out. Meanwhile, it looks like Jinro is going to go for a fast expand as well. So he went went for a command center first build. Both of them playing a very macro style, and it's really easy to do that in a map like Shakuras, where you have the opportunity to. And there's that pool. It did come a little bit later after the gas, of course, so now we're going to see some speed to defend this expansion. Very smart play by Moonglade. And a barracks is now going down for Jinro. Now the beauty of a fast expand build, for those of you who are relatively new to the game, is that if you go for a build like this where you make a base very soon, the difficulty is a bit harder because you have to defend it. However, you can basically build whatever you want afterwards. You could go for a lot of barracks, and it seems Jinro's going to open up with 2 barracks. However, he can go ahead and get some gas and get factories. He can get starports. He can do just about anything he wants. Meanwhile, Moonglade, if you're playing Zerg, you want to get that economic advantage really early. And going for these fast expands, going for hatchery first, right now you'll see that his economy will start to skyrocket. He'll be able to get queens out on the field. He's already getting one on that second hatchery, or a first one in that second hatchery, and then his second queen is going to come in his main. And now Jinro is going to go ahead and scout all of this. He is going to move his SCV out. Going to see the timings, realize, well, he did go for a fast expand, and these lings don't have speed yet, but that's still a decent amount. Now the beauty of getting this many lings is now you have the ability to kind of sweep up any small clumps of marines that come your way and apply a little bit of early pressure, especially if you think your opponent's fast expanded. And as you see here, 3 barracks are now completed and kind of making a wall off here at this ramp, and this will just make sure that Jinro can continue to expand as he sees fit. He's only making marines as he has no gas yet, so he's looking to be in a pretty safe spot. And that's all Moonglade wanted to see. Wanted to poke up the front of the ramp and see where those barracks were. So Moonglade playing a very smart style so far. I want to see exactly what he's going for next. He is starting to get speed researched, and he's really hitting those larva injects. So you should see him just focus on making drones, get map control with all of these lings, keep them on the Zelnaga watchtowers, and start to get a pretty decent creep spread. A lot of Koreans that you'll see, you know, with all the extra nutrients that they must be getting in their fancy foods, they've got to be putting down these extra spore crawlers, getting that extra queen so that they can pretty much keep that aggressive creep spread going, give them extra scouting and mobility, because that is really one of the greatest strengths of the Zerg army. Now that gases have gone down, Jinro does have 1 gas, he is going to start getting, you see here, he's got a tech lab being built, as well as another refinery. So he is going to make a very large bio army. I do like that, but will he get any siege tanks to support this? That's my guess, as bio itself doesn't really cut it for a lot of Terran players later in the game, especially when they get out Banelings, Zerglings, and even the dreaded Mutalisks. Mutalisks are always, pretty much, in my opinion, the strongest unit that the Zergs have. Maybe not in terms of defense, but based on what I see Moonglade doing, it looks like he's going to do just that. He's got all of his gases, and he is now going for his lair. So I am definitely anticipating a mixture of Speedlings and Mutalisks, and now Banelings as well. So the Sling Bane Muta combination is on the way. A third command center is now on the way for Jinro, realizing he might have an opportunity to do just that. I don't know if he managed to get a good scan off and see that as that Moonglade went for that. But no, he's going to apply the pressure. That's why he's expanding. So now Jinro going to try and abuse a little bit of a timing here. He wants to push out right before layer finishes and before the Spire completes so that he can get a lot of damage done. Moonglade right now has put down a macro hatchery and a spine crawler. He sees this army coming forward, so he's able to move some of those lings out. And now he's making 26 lings. So that's very smart. Here they come. And there's that scan. So I think Jinro's going to see that, realize, well, he saw me coming. It's probably a good idea to go back. I force him to make units instead of drones. So I'm actually going to be ahead if I can get this expansion to land. So now that Moonglade hasn't expanded and went for the macro hatch instead, he needs to start scouting around and take back map control. He's got the Speedlings. He could turn a few into some Banes, and that will help him wrap up that Soul Marine army. Now, if you did notice, he did put down factories. Jinro has begun to make a factory and a starport, so he's going to get some medevacs out there and probably going to get a lot of, there you go, reactors. So you're going to see, well, it's probably going to be a switch from the reactor to the starport, so we can go for this MMM style of build. Good. Now Moonglade is getting his third, so he wants to prepare for any possible expansion by Jinro, realizing at about this time it would be smart to do so. His Spire just about completed. We're talking about, you know, just it'll finish within the next minute or so. And now these lings are just going to start skipping around trying to find any unit. And I got a comment. Lings are by far the funniest walking creature, especially with speed. They kind of float and skip. Meanwhile, if you ever played Brood War, Dragoons were probably the funniest walking creature. They kind of walked sideways and had this really weird stutter step to them, and that's kind of why stutter step originally became popular, is because of how funny they moved them. Now, I do like what Jinro is doing. Realizing his opponent would clearly be going for mutas is gonna definitely metagame, especially seeing as how he hasn't seen any roaches and has only seen speedlings, that he wants to save up all his gas for those mutas. And now you see 11 mutas are on the way, so that's going to be a good force. He's going to be able to do some good damage with them. Now, the expansion hasn't exactly left the building for Jinro yet. He just now started to make extra SCVs. And now the mutas have entered the playing field. You see stim and attack upgrades on the way, as well as flyer attacks level 1 for Moonglade. Moonglade needs to do a lot of damage here because now the armory is just about finished, and the Thors for Jinro will soon be completed. Alright, so Moonglade deciding not to aggress right away. Instead, he's going to try and float down. It's funny because that, as you can see there, that expansion will finish. And oh no, expansion is going to get caught. I don't know if he has enough mutas, but he can actually force them to split. This expansion needs to go back home. Jinro, you cannot exactly... Well, there he goes. Now Jinro's defending appropriately by pulling out his units. If he stims... Oh, his stim is just about finished. But now you see a few more mutas are on the way, as well as some banelings being morphed in. So now I think that this might be a good time for Moonglade to really engage. He's already ahead in... Well, no, they're actually dead, even in workers. Jinro playing a very strong macro style, but Moonglade trying to go for a good timing here to create some strong units. And as you can see, he did go back to making drones for a short bit. Now getting a queen, but here comes the attack. And there he goes. He took down the expansion. That's actually incredibly critical, because now Jinro just wasted a whole lot of minerals that he can't just get back. Meanwhile, Moonglade can right away. More banelings on the way, as well as another round of 30 more zerglings. You see that baneling movement speed has been finished. Carapace and melee attack level 1 upgrades are on the way. I do like the position that Moonglade's in. However, I would like to see him continue to drone up a little bit more. He's getting very close. He's almost at that max army limit. So Moonglade looking in a scary position. Meanwhile, siege tanks have now entered the field for Jinro. He has not yet gotten any Thors yet, but I don't think he can really afford it after losing that command center. He needs to get more basic units out, even though they might not be as strong. So I definitely think Moonglade has an advantage here. It's a little sad that Jinro typically likes a mech play, but he's actually not favoring it. He's going for a more standard siege tank marine medevac. And here comes some more mutas. He might catch the Siege Tank off guard, and sure enough, he will. And here comes a big engagement. Those Lings shouldn't be engaging. They should probably be reaching around to the side. But it's these mutas that will start to switch around and take out some of those Siege Tanks. A little bit of miss micro by Moonglade, and now Jinro actually has the lead in, well, he had the lead for a bit. But now 40 more Lings are on the way. Meanwhile, a drop has come down by Jinro, and he actually did a lot of damage. Let's take a look here. He killed about nine workers or so with that, so that was very wise. Another command center is being built. That will probably turn into the planetary fortress due to the amount of pressure Moonglade's putting on. But this is a very safe spot for Jinro to be in. And now there was another drop that was out there and did some damage to Moonglade again. Looks like, oh no, it didn't. Looks like there wasn't any drop there. I think he was just anticipating such a thing. But Jinro starting to turn on the heat, getting a little bit of pressure here. And Jinro trying to pick this queen off. Not going to do it with only those few Marines. Good presence of mind by Moonglade to decide when to react to this. He's going to start to poke forward with those mutas, starting to see where his opponent's at. And Moonglade is actually in a scary position. He could still come right back, but it's the upgrades for Jinro. Look at that. He's just finishing level 2 armor and getting level 2 attack. He's now getting his first Thor. It's about halfway through, and his fourth base is just about finished. Meanwhile, Moonglade struggling to stay ahead. Moonglade didn't do enough damage. He did take out a third, but now that this third is finished, it's now looking like Jinro is taking a bit of a lead. So here come the Marines pulling the units back into the Siege Tanks. They are split very well. So how well will he do here? Will he be able to split his units up enough? I still think the supply count is higher for Jinro, as he's got a lot of Marines and lifting up the barracks, and minimal amount of damage being done there. Oh my goodness, Jinro playing stellar right now. That was actually really good micromanagement there to split his units like that and minimize the damage from the Zerg force. I think that Moonglade was really, he's been behind, and at this point he needs to apply more pressure with these mutas, but instead he's trying too much to kind of force Jinro's hand, and he forced Jinro's hand in the wrong direction this time. So I think the advantage is heavily in Moonglade, against Moonglade right now. Jinro looking great. He's got his Thor up in the front as the Marines are starting to come down. See level 2 level 2 armor, melee, and flyer attacks are on the way. Meanwhile, level 3 upgrades are almost done for Jinro. He doesn't have any siege tank upgrades yet. Yeah, that's what I'm taking a look at here. Yeah, he has no upgrades like that, but look at the positioning on this Thor. That's actually brilliant, putting it on the high ground that used to be so devastating on maps like Lost Temple. But as we sit here, Jinro slowly pushing forward with the siege tanks, and oh no, those mutas did a little bit of damage, but he could. But that's actually a lot of banelings, as Artosis might say. That is, that's so many banelings. But I still think Jinro has such an advantage. He's got an advantage not only in workers, but he's got a disadvantage in workers, but he's ahead in military. So if this army suddenly disappeared for Jinro, I think Moonglade would come out ahead, but losing queens like that, he's still stuck on 4 bases while Jinro is just now getting his 4th, and it's turning, like I said, into a planetary fortress. So now it'll be very hard for Jinro to lose it, especially with the pressure he's applying right now. He needs to be careful and pull his army back, stimming away. It's actually very clever to stim your way out of a battle and let your siege tanks do all the work. These mutas are in an interesting position, though. They could get a really good flank on some of these units. Oh, a bad rally forcing Moonglade to lose even more units. And yeah, now it's Jinro just pulling back, realizing the siege tanks can get a little bit closer over time. But he's getting caught out of position. Moonglade looking to be doing a little bit better right now. But now here comes a big push forward with even more siege tanks. Pushing his army in there. Will Moonglade be able to do enough? He's got the banelings destroying a lot of units. And that kind of wrapped up almost all the Marines there. Will the mutas be able to clean up? Oh, that Thor. That Thor is such a great deterrent, as those mutas just cannot do enough. I really think that Moonglade is starting to get the idea. But Jinro pushing forward again. Another bad rally by Moonglade allows Jinro to kill even more Overlords. And I just love Jinro's positioning with these siege tanks in this Thor. And now he's able to slowly reinforce into his goal once again. Jinro starting to keep hitting those SCVs. He kind of let them slip for a bit. But look at the unit counting station. That's 27 mutas. That's actually a lot of mutas. Just missed him with the camera there. But now there's that Thor that's down on the low ground. More aggression coming in. I'm actually going to get rid of this stuff, as now those Marines are moving forward, taking out as much as possible. That hatchery is going to die. Meanwhile, the mutas are going for a suicide push on the other side. Will they do enough? Jinro, is he going to pull back? But look at that. So much is there to try and defend it. Those mutas will clean those units up. But will Jinro pull his army back, or will he engage? No, he's going to pull his army back, and now these mutas are basically able to destroy this expansion. And I think just like that, Moonglade could be back in this game. There's a sacrificial stim. Just gonna tick, tick, tick until that is gonna go down, and sure enough, it will. And the Marines will be the least of Moonglade's worries. And now, wow, Moonglade doing a whole lot, killing a whole lot of workers. So now both players are actually pretty even. Now there's a good drop going on here by Jinro. Will he be able to take out this hatchery as well? He did a lot of damage last time. He's only got 4 Marines there, but he's gonna stim. Oh, but I think the Zerglings and the mutas are gonna come in there and wrap that up. Meanwhile, are there any other drops elsewhere? Looks like a drop was attempted. I mean, there's nothing to really drop on now that he has his hive. Let's get the protection facility back. An expansion was rebuilt again, but right now we're looking at 3 to 3 bases. So I still think, oh wow, look at the positioning on those. He's gonna run everything in there. Siege tanks go down, and Moonglade's gonna GG. I really think Jinro played a stellar game. He did almost everything right. But it was Moonglade. I think his engagements were just absolutely terrible. Everything from how he controlled his units. He didn't really use his Mutalisks, and maybe that's a little bit why he's been doing not as well as I would have liked. But just the biomech style from Jinro was pretty standard from what I've seen. It's not Hellion Thors like you'll see in a lot of examples, but you know, he went straight into a Marine tank medevac. That's what I meant to say. Marine tank medevac build. Well, Moonglade, if I were in Moonglade's position, what I've learned, especially after playing Zerg for a few weeks now, you know, I always analyzed him, but what I saw is his Zerglings were not really maneuvered for a surround. He kind of fed them right into Jinro's forces. His Banelings are really the striking force against that. And it's the mutas that are supposed to focus fire on the siege tanks so that they are going to be safe. So that is actually a big reason why I think Moonglade got behind. And I think Jinro's macro was absolutely stellar with all the positioning of his command centers. I think he deserves a lot of respect in this case, and he's still going to be one of my favorite players. So that kind of wraps this game up. I had a blast watching it. Hopefully you guys did as well. I will see you guys next time. Adios.